Hey everyone, Temporal here, and for this session we are going to be reviewing a Master Support player. I believe we are mostly looking at BAP, though it's a close balance. There's going to be some Ana as well here. There's going to be some Ana here as well. If you guys are enjoying the content, please do like and subscribe, as that really does help me out quite a bit, and I appreciate it. Or if you are looking to get coaching, you can join my Discord in the description below, see what rates look like, see what sort of promos, events we have going on, all that good stuff. Okay, so we have our Ana. We are playing with a Mercy, Echo, Genji, so we have some nice support DPS combinations here. And you've got the Winston as a secondary nano target. Yeah, pretty good for you. Yes, Game Buster, that should be doable. I'm like 90% sure that's doable. I should be able to, right after this one, do another one.
I will keep you healed.
Okay, this is your window. You did just have Ball go in. Oh, did Ball go that way? Never mind. I'm distracted. Okay, so here we go. Oh, am I on my correct rewind speed? I am. Good.
I will keep you healed.
You see the hook. You're not going to be able to transition here, and you realize that, so you're going to need them to push, but they're a mobile team. They should be able to push aggressively. That should be fine. Don't transition. Don't transition. There you go.
Watching your back.
Am I going to be okay with that? You're going here. You see that. That's your bubble. Your nade is also going to hit the lamp and turn them purple, and you have friends right there. Yeah, I'm good with this.
This is going to hurt.
You're trying too hard for that.
Watching
Totally
your
understand that you want that. I totally understand that you want your Winston, but he's just not available to you here, and you don't want to try super hard
This
for
is
it. You're
going to
perfectly happy to play here. I generally wouldn't like middle of the lane, but that ball isn't enough danger, needs some help. Yes, I see, of course, that you have the barrier in the way, but that's not there. So let's not like go crazy trying to get that shot and miss out on the fight. Yeah. Okay, let's get more into this. Hey, Realth. Okay, so here you are.
watching your back.
You go for that. We talked about that nade.
This is going to hurt.
Yeah, you've got a barrier in the way. It's annoying. You can still get around that barrier if you want. That Hog's Arm is hittable, but I'll live. You look for this. I mean, we definitely want to go ahead and go after that Doomfist here. There's very little reason that we can't do that. That's, in fact, the easier shot. Now we could hit our teammate. We're going to be too slow for that, and that's life. And then you just, yeah, you shoot even though it's too late. But now we're into the more normal stuff. So that's what we're doing. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Happy to hear it. Yeah, it was just too slow. Okay. And you're done. It's past time to leave. You're staying too deep as is. Good. It's another not very good sleep in terms of aim here. So here you are. That's a good dodge here. I mean, he's a big target. He's not that hard. Yes, I get he was baiting you that he was going that way. Like, yes, he did actively dodge that, but you could have brought that sleep dart in more. Like, if I'm going to be picky, and I am, you're a Masters player, you can do better there. You're not spending both defensive cooldowns. You're rotating with your team, so that's a little more forgivable, but I don't love you
You're
spending
going to
both of
live.
your ability cooldowns, especially when that second one wasn't terribly high value. Like, if you look at this, yes, I'm being critical. You've already used your sleep dart. You choose to use your nade on a basically full health hog that you know your team isn't going to follow up on. I don't particularly like this nade. Like, this nade is the sort of thing where, hey, you weren't canceling his breather. He wasn't particularly low health. Your team isn't in positions where they're about to do a bunch of work on him. Your Echo is not going to dive in here hard to go get this. Like, this is not something that is particularly high value to do, and now you have nothing to protect yourself with. You're 10 seconds out on both cooldowns. Now, fortunately, you're with your team, and that offers you a little more ability to do this, but let's remember, there is a Doomfist on the other side. Not having
You're
either
going
ability
to
to
live.
defend ourselves with is a bit more scary than I'd like. Yes, most of that is while you're rotating through here. I get it, and with your team, that's why it's not a throw, but I still would have preferred that we don't do that. Okay, so here you go for this, and I'm, again, going to live with this, but your team's not in a great spot to follow up on this. Like, yes, this is going to work because your Echo hit this hook, but this wasn't amazing. This is mostly over. Just leave.
That
Just leave.
blade will not live.
Ideally, we really want to be hitting nades that our team actually has the potential to follow up on. If we're hitting nades way before the fight starts and we can't be punished, that can be fine because, hey, it's ult charge, hey, maybe it'll work out, hey, maybe it'll line up with some poke damage and lead to an elimination. But we want to be careful with our nades that we're not throwing these out willy-nilly, that we're not just going, oh, it's a purple and a purple is good enough. Purple or multiple purples. Multiple purples are great, but we do still actually want them to have a real possibility of translating into elimination. So we want to throw them out when our team can do something with them. This nade back here on Hog, that was almost certainly not the case. This nade, still not really the case, but you didn't know your team was instantly getting deleted, / you didn't have a much better to do. That said, you probably were better off just leaving.
This is going to hurt.
Wondering where everyone else is.
Oh. Ah.
You're powered up. Get in there.
Feeling powerful.
It's a bonfire.
No, I got my appointment done, blah, but good try. Really? Take your shot. Throw the nade. It's a transcendence. I'm gonna live with it, even though that wasn't a particularly well-aimed nade. But what is this? Like, is this really gonna help you? What does hitting this sleep get you? Hitting this sleep means, oh, the BAP falls asleep. The BAP isn't some great source of healing that your team needs. Yes, it might lead to you guys getting the elimination, but I'm not too worried. I think you're already going to get those eliminations. I think you guys have closed this out reasonably well. You've forced them back here. Your team has good positional control. Like, this is already okay, and you've already got your nano here. Like, I'm not too worried about this. I'm pretty comfortable with how you guys are right now. I don't want you to throw this sleep because I don't really think this sets you up with anything great, and you do have to worry about being able to defend yourself. You just spent your nade into here and didn't get value, and now you're throwing a low probability sleep dart, relatively low probability, that also has a relatively low return even if you hit it. Like, this isn't going to be amazing if you hit this sleep dart. It's not a particularly easy sleep dart to hit. And now you leave yourself in this. I have no cooldowns. Both of your cooldowns are 8 and 12 seconds away. You have nothing to defend yourself with, and oh look, shocking! Now there's a Sigma here that gets to push you, and you have nothing to defend yourself with. I don't like how willing you are to use both of your cooldowns. I don't mind using both of your cooldowns in general, but I want them to be, hey, I'm getting good value out of this that pressures the team really hard, or I'm staggering their use a bit. So like, hey, I've got 4 seconds left on my nade cooldown. Now, if I see a good sleep dart in these next 4 seconds, 1 to 4 seconds, I'm willing to use that even though I'll be without a cooldown because it's a tempo thing and I'm edging a bit and I'm getting my next advantage. You're regularly doing this like, hey, let me throw my sleep out when I have 10 seconds left on my cooldown, 9 seconds left on my nade cooldown, which just leaves you kind of helpless. Like, you need to be more aware, especially when there's threats on the opposing team, especially when you aren't totally protected by your team, which you weren't here because your team is forward doing work. Yes, Mercy might come over and help you, but like, you need to be more aware of, hey, if I'm going to use both of my abilities and put both of my abilities on cooldown and long on cooldown, not staggered where the next one is back in a couple seconds, I really want to make sure I'm getting good value out of them. And you threw a nade that got no value, which, you know, I understand why you threw it, but then after not getting value out of the nade, you threw a sleep that wasn't terribly likely to get value. And that I'm going to be much less okay with.
Get back in the fight.
I mean, the term works well. I suppose I could use a different term if you... I mean, I'm not going to. I'm going to use that term.
You're covered. Get
Let's get back a little here.
Meteors.
Okay, so we go back here.
in the fight.
I need a health restore.
I'll rewind a bit further.
I'm taking the objective.
This
Okay,
is
you do
Wondering
this.
where everyone else is.
You're powered up. Get in there.
Do that. Nano forces trans.
Chaos uneven ending.
You don't struggle to keep them alive. I don't like this nade. I very much dislike this sleep dart. But I'll live with the nade. You go up over here. Your Mercy had to pay attention to you more so than we like. Okay. And sure enough, they're back. You have one cooldown back.
This will
Fine.
really hurt for
This
you.
is much more okay with me. You threw out your nade, a nade that you expected to get some value. You knew you'd be able to weave over the shield. There was a chance of him eating it with the shift, but there was a reasonable chance you were going to get multiple purples out of that were sort of meaningful pressure. Maybe your Echo would be able to follow up on them. At the very least, it was going to keep them back for a moment while your team got to do more here. I'm good with this nade, but also importantly, you are only a second away on sleep dart, so no big deal that you don't have your nade anymore.
You're covered. Get Old soldiers are hard to kill. Go. I'll keep you healed.
My ultimate is charged. Wounded. Let's get it. Let's fight. Prepare for duplicating Doomfist.
Watching your back.
You're going for that. So you have the angle. You can throw the nade in there now because Doomfist has moved it for you. The nade was better there. The nade was higher probability. The nade was going to get the purple. The nade had the chance of getting your Diva pushing forward, but okay.
Watching your back.
Your ability usage is just so backwards there. Okay. I'm a little surprised we didn't get any scope shots for that. There's your scope. Play the corner. Play the corner. Okay. Okay. You see it. You can already be scoped again because scoping is how you're going to hit the next shot, and you know the Doomfist isn't going to come down with his ult on you again. So you should already be scoped. You having to take time here, like, yeah.
This is going to hurt.
Let's put an end to this. My ultimate is charged.
It'll take more than that to keep me out of the fight.
Zoning module
Enemies
charging.
detected.
10 seconds.
You're far down. Get in there.
Fine.
I'm feeling
Just a scratch. You'll be fine.
Okay.
The objective is
Team fight.
I'll heal you.
Okay, you're gonna go for it. It's a long time for you not to have pivoted to your echo.
Team fight.
So you're here. Everyone's critical. I get it. It's scary. First shot onto your diva to keep her up while she's discorded. No problem. Then you pivot over to the Winston, who's not actually in any trouble and has the Velking Mercy attached to him. I would have preferred that you pivoted to your Echo here. Yes, in reality, you'd expect your Mercy more often to be on your Echo and you to go on your Winston. That would be the more standard distribution of responsibilities. But your Winston's in less danger, and your Mercy's clearly on the Winston here. So I would have preferred the pivot to heal your Echo. That Echo's still weak, and this second shot is much less forgivable than the first shot. Okay. Good thing that didn't go more wrong. What?
I have your back.
I mean,
New defense.
like, yes, that's where he is, but that's clearly not where he's moving. I know you don't want to get caught in the shift, but that's way too far back. Again, that sleep up bothers me less because Anna's with her team here. But there we go. Still don't need you leading the charge. I know we want to take this push right now because you're trying to take advantage of the 2-second stagger that you get, but you still don't need to be leading this charge. And now you're done. Okay. Why are we already pushed in so far? We clearly hadn't cleared this out enough to warrant you being up here yet. This is a good finish the map position, don't get me wrong, but you hadn't earned this yet. You were still in back here mode, where you play around this pillar and you go, I do this. You are not yet in I try to finish the map up here mode like you do when they're trying to push back in with respawns, etc. You hadn't earned this side of the point yet. So usually you'd control this from a bit further back still. You tried.
Objective capture.
I've come back from worse.
I need healing.
You're covered.
Mm-hmm.
Going in.
Ready for duty.
No dying on my watch.
We're tripling up on Temple of Anubis? Okay. Fine by me.
Enemy radar.
I do not have the dislike of 2 CP that I know most Overwatch players do. Though Anubis isn't my favorite of them, I don't strongly dislike it either. Okay, so now we're on our BAP. We've lamped, but we've lamped after he's already used his one-shot. Damage is done. And this lamp is not like a reaction that is too slow type thing. This is... No. You shot a right-click, then you shifted, then you lamped here. That's the wrong order against Doomfist in general, because if you're worried about the one-shot, the lamp becomes the question. But this lamp is just too slow, and it's a conscious decision to be too slow. Like, we look at this. We hear the Doomfist charging the punch. We're not going to really be able to react to the punch with the lamp, so if we're really worried about that, now we see that. So if we're going to lamp, we would lamp over here immediately. Like, if we're going to lamp, it would be a lamp over here immediately. That's the only option. Nope, you chose to shift first. You don't get to shift, then lamp. You don't get to. You hear the Doomfist. You choose to, go for the shift, right click. Yeah, you want shift, right click, lamp. That's too many actions. Yes, your animation canceling a lot of this stuff, but you just tried to do 2 different actions before you did the lamp. You don't get to do that. Not if you actually want the lamp to save anyone. Against a one-shot ability. It would be different if you're trying to lamp to save him from a combo, to save her from a combo, but it was clearly a punch that we were worried about.
Uncanny attitude positive là.
My ultimate is charging.
Okay.
Get in here.
That time you lamped first, at least.
How about a little extra healing? Nothing to worry about.
Why are you so slow on this? This is fine.
How about a little extra
You press Shift and you press X, and both of those are fine with me. But this, why are you so slow to acquire your target?
You must be joking.
You're over-prioritizing your jump boots there, and we're not super worried about our jump boots anymore. We need our jump boots perhaps in 2.5, 3 seconds. We need to have those charged to worry about the next punch, but we don't need those to survive his combos at this point because he's really going to struggle to destroy our lamp. He needs to punch us out of our lamp, or he needs to combo us while we have our shift rolling, while Mercy's on us. We need to be shooting at him right now. We need to be acquiring our target faster, and you're putting too much of your focus on charging your exo boots too early for this particular matchup.
Attack the objective. I could use some healing.
Till Valhalla.
Changing position. Duplication initiated.
Are we just running this down mid? Okay.
60 seconds remaining.
Okay. Can we maybe get over here where we can play with a little bit of high ground? Okay. Why are we so interested in healing right now?
Duplication initiated. 60 seconds.
Healing now is fine. Trans. Your Valk is going. Your Valk is going just fine. Okay, now you're choosing to reload during the high noon. Fine. Why? Like, yes, your Reinhardt's missing a little bit of health, but that high noon is out. Please stop just chain healing here, and please actually start getting a little bit of damage done. Yes, I know the Transcendence is up, but that doesn't mean that you can't weave damage shots into that hog to get your window. Okay. That was actually pretty nice, but again, I would revert you back with a little bit more high ground to play with. Yes, the high noon might have made that tricky, you might have had to drop, but you were again sort of in this, you're pretending like this is your hold space. This was a little bit better, but you tend to play a bit far forward before your team has actually earned that much space on the point.
It's not over yet.
I'm on fire.
Get in
30
here.
seconds remaining.
We're running out of time.
Meteor strike. Stay down.
Allow me to repair the damage.
10 seconds remaining.
Not my time. Let them
Okay.
up.
So we've seen two heroes, Anna and Bap. I think you play Bap for the rest of this, so I'll talk about your Anna. You have a bit too much willingness to throw out your second cooldown. I don't care which is your second cooldown, but your second cooldown when it is not likely enough to get value when your other cooldown is far away. So if it's going to get good value, that's fine. You can put it on cooldown. It's going to get good value. But if your probability of getting good value out of it isn't particularly high, I want your threshold for using that cooldown to be higher. And that threshold can get lower as you get closer to getting your first cooldown back. That's an adjustment that I want you to make. You can lower that threshold a bit when you're with your team and you're going to stay with your team. But again, you're a little too willing to throw out your second cooldown when it's not particularly likely to get very good value.
Imagine the worst possible.
That's what I'm going to say there. We could talk a little bit about some of the nano. We could talk a little bit about the target selection. But I think that's... Oh, and you had some nades that weren't very accurate. I would recommend a little bit of work on your ability accuracy, to be honest. Your nade accuracy, you had the nade over here that was just like... That was way wrong. You had the nade over here that I don't know why you expected a target to still be there. I know you felt the need to throw a nade because there was a transcendence, but it felt like you threw it at the transcendence. You didn't throw it at a specific target in mind. And then you had some sleep darts that were in general just not very high probability. It looks like you're throwing your abilities out almost as like a tempo, let me just use these type thing, and you need to be going a little bit more for, hey, can I actually get value out of this? Is there a reasonable chance of me hitting this Doomfist at a sleep from this angle type thing? No, there's not. So let's try to get a little more serious about that. Moving on to your BAP. We have more to see here, but you certainly had the weird lamp. You were slow to acquire your target on the hog, was it? No, on the Doomfist there, you had the slow lamp. You were slow to acquire the target because you were looking to charge your Exo Boost when it wasn't the proper time in the matchup to charge the Exo Boost. I'm not seeing anything necessarily theme-wise I want to talk about. You weren't really weaving there. Most of that I'll write off as the Transcendence. Let's see how things go.
Doc, I've been having the worst headaches.
I've always said you should get your head examined.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming.
Okay, we're playing high ground behind our team. Lovely. We do want to understand if they have snipers before we get too wild. Apparently we've had our calls now. Is there any actual aim going on here? Yeah, okay. Those last two shots were like, what is this? I don't mind missing shots. I don't mind missing. I don't. Aim is a skill that people need to work on. I get that. Those two shots, totally fine with me. I just don't know what you're trying to hit when you click on the trigger here. Nor do I know what you're trying to hit when you click on the trigger here. You clicked on the trigger when you were on the little spot between high and low ground here, the edge of the cliff there. And the first one was like, again, here in the middle. Like, it looks like you're shooting in the direction that you expect the enemies are over here rather than actually aiming. And, you know, it's harder to aim, but I still want you to, it's work to aim. It takes some mental effort, but I still want you to do it. Okay.
You must be joking. You must be joking.
We're not pivoting up for the... Really? Okay, so you hit these. I'm not worried about these. I want to see what comes next. You do your reload.
You must be.
That didn't hit anything. What are you doing? Why are you healing? Why is this a heal shot? This Doomfist is clearly coming after you, and you gave him an extra opportunity to get in close when you could have had a volley of shots on him. Like, you could already be on your second volley of shots on him if you hadn't gone for that meaningless right click.
Get in here.
Or you could have jumped this. I also don't particularly like this lamp, and the reason I don't like this lamp is you don't need it yet. He doesn't have an angle to insta-punch you, and an insta-punch wouldn't necessarily get you here, and you know he already used his uppercut to get you. His slam was all he had. You don't need this lamp yet. Your shift is enough, your mercy's on you. I would have greatly preferred that this lamp not get used. Yeah.
How about a little extra healing?
Now, if you'd heard the tracer blank in, absolutely you can use the lamp. If he lasted for a second or two, yeah, you might have to use that lamp. But you didn't need to be that loose with your lamp usage. You could have been like, nope, I'm going to hold this a little more tightly, because you've got to think about the matchup. It's the same thing we had down here where you, or not here, but over here, where you need to be thinking about, okay, what can he actually, or no, we are going to talk down here, where you need to think about the matchup where it's like, okay, you used the lamp, it protected you, you survived the punch, you've used the lamp. What is the next thing that you actually need to do? It's not charge Exo Boots. Exo Boots don't help you with the rest of the matchup until he has really his punch back there. You needed to be thinking about hitting shots on him, not charging your Exo Boots. Here, he's already used his uppercut to get to you, to just hit you with the slam, and it was a powerful slam, don't get me wrong. Like, okay, he hit you for some damage there, but there's nothing behind you that he's going to, I mean, like, that was too far of a distance for him to really punch you and you get eliminated. You're going to have some reaction time. He doesn't have the ability to uppercut you after that slam because he used his uppercut to get in. This is the sort of thing where you need to go, in this matchup, I don't need it yet. You need to think about it as a microcosm matchup when it comes to your ability use in general, but your lamp specifically here. You go for the Torb, fine. Okay. That third shot is too much. It was getting a little greedy in general, but that third shot is way too much when it definitely needed to be on BAP. Can we stop just chain healing? So here you are. One heal, two heal. You throw that lamp out, which I'll live with. You're pressured. Do you realize how long it's been since you've thrown an offensive shot? Like, this has been an eternity. And you have offensive shot options right here, where, hey, you can throw your right click, but there is an automatic delay between right clicks. You simply can't right click any faster than your right click rate of fire. And you can weave offensive shots between these right clicks to get more total value. Your team is fine. Your team is fine here. You're chain right-clicking them, and, you know, that's the thing. I don't mind you throwing out a bunch of right-clicks, but it's super easy to hit left clicks on this hog between your right clicks. BAP is heavily about weaving, and it's a skill that you've got to practice, where you go right-click, left-click, right-click, left-click, or left-click, right-click, left-click, right-click. And yes, you'll start varying it, where you'll go, hey, double left-click, right-click. You'll get into varying it, but you should have a default cadence, rhythm, etc. that you can fall into of right, left, right, left. And it doesn't get much easier than what you're looking at right now, where the right clicks easily hit multiple targets, and you don't have to move your crosshair at all to at least get some damage on the hog. You're looking to position yourself in general on BAP in places where you're above and behind your team, so that it's like no movement of your crosshair to alternate or to swap between right click and left click and getting value out of both of these. So it's very much how BAP's character is designed, where you get high ground behind your team, the downward arcing right clicks, the easy taking of high ground, the, hey, I want to keep them in a place where the delay that you have built in between right clicks that you can fit left clicks into. Like, it's all intentionally designed so that this is how BAP works, and you need to get this left click damage in when it's super easy, obvious like this, and you can really lose nothing by doing it. It's just a benefit for your team. Are there situations where you abandon left clicking and you hard right click? Absolutely. If your team right now were both at like 20 and 30%, and there was no hog here, there was only these two here, or maybe there was someone over here, or maybe someone up here, yeah, you might just chain right clicks on them to heal them to get them into a healthier state, in part because they're in more danger than they're in right now, and also in part because you'd have to hit bigger flicks between your right and your left clicks, and you don't have that long before you start losing out on right click time to be doing flicks. So yeah, you know, it's okay to sometimes go full right-click mode, full left-click mode, but in general, you're trying to drive the hero in such a way that you get lots of opportunities like this. And you have this opportunity right now, and you're not taking advantage of it, and honestly, you've had pretty good opportunity for most of this fight, and you haven't really been taking it, and that's disappointing. Because you're leaving a lot of BAP value on the table. Specifically, you're leaving a lot of BAP damage value on the table. Okay, start alternating. Your Ryan's not critical anymore, start alternating. No.
Well, it could be on you.
Objective lost. New defense point. Objective B.
I don't like to think about the game like that, Game Buster. I don't like to think about it like, oh, Plats need to increase this specific skill to move up. Diamonds need to increase this specific skill to move up because players aren't consistent enough for that. You can get to Diamond, get to Masters, get to GM, get to Gold by having a certain combination of value of skills that pays off in a certain way. Every player is missing skills that they could have, and some golds are going to have some of some skills, some golds are going to have some other of skills. So like there's no like, oh, diamond supports always have this skill and the next thing they need, or 90% of the time the thing they need to move on to the next is this. Like there's stuff that most of them don't do, but some of them are going to break the mold and have understood and gotten different skills.
You should be at
That's kind of why people get individual VOD reviews rather than my just writing up a guide of this is what every diamond player needs to climb. Now, obviously, I do some exception to that. You guys should see my mini guides. I have a playlist for that. They're really awesome. They tell you some of the really common mistakes for heroes to improve on. But if you want better than that, you got to get into the individual reviews. You can retake your high ground. Okay, cover. Use cover. What? What? What exactly are you scared of here? No. No. Like, yes, they've taken an aggressive angle. I get that they've taken the aggressive angle. If you wanted to do this lamp, you'd have put this lamp a little further to the left so that the pillar protected it better, and it still mostly worked. But, like, I'm not worried about this yet. Your wrist is using Fortify, still has plenty of health. Yes, the window is a scary amount of damage that's incoming, but I don't want this yet. I also didn't want you here. I wanted you playing behind this pillar. Dropping here was not your friend. Play here. Play a little more here. But, okay. Oh, you're lamping so that you can fight them through their window. That was not the play. And if you did think that was the play, you needed this lamp further to the left here where they actually couldn't see it. This is, yeah. That was not how you do that. I don't really recommend using lamps to allow you to fight them through their windows. Sometimes you use lamps to enable your own windows. I don't generally want you to think they windowed, let me go ahead and lamp so that we can stand and open and fight their window. That would not be a strong recommendation from me. That's not to say there's no use for it, but I wouldn't be heavy looking for that. I'd be much more looking to line of sight their window.
Regen burst activated.
I heard great things for you. Tank!
You're fully healed. Regen up.
Why would you shift here?
Regen up.
Your tanks are missing health, but you've still got shots left. Your tanks aren't hard brawling yet. This fight hasn't really started. It's still, I mean, yes, their Doomfist is down, but I don't really consider this fight to be seriously happening based on the space that the two teams control, based on our ability to commit on them is mostly non-existent. I don't particularly love this shift. You aren't missing any health. This is just helping your tanks. You can heal your tanks. Your tanks aren't in danger. I'm not convinced that your Rhino is going to drop his shield as a result of this shift. Yeah. I mostly feel like you just don't have your shift now, and it didn't do you much good. If your team was actively going to push this, sure, you shift because the fight is going to happen and they're going to get value. Your Rhine's going to be swinging. That shield's not going to just constantly be up, so that regen ticking is nice. But here, not so much.
System malfunction.
Okay. Okay. It's fine. Unfortunate.
Meteor strike.
Team up for special attack.
I mean, we can talk about it. I actually don't have an issue with the lamp. I have a bigger issue with your general positioning here. Okay. Where are we going to play from? You go here. Fine. You immediately drop because reasons. This was still good. You were still fine here. You had a nice pillar to use as line of sight against them. You could heal your team. It's not giving you that optimal behind and above your team thing that we're talking about, but you can't really get that right now, so this was fine. You could heal your team while having cover. So don't love the drop. Okay, we don't need to be so close to this fight. We can get a little bit more back here in the actual safety zone where our mercy is. We don't need to be here necessarily. Or we could look to transition back up to here again. You're kind of in no man's space, where your cover is like, I'm going to run all the way over here. Or your cover is, I guess I'm going to get back here, like, or your cover is I'm going to run forward and use this. Like, your cover options are all sort of second and half, 2 second away, and there's not a great reason for that to be the case. Now you're pushing in. Okay, I'm okay with that, but please go take your high ground. Please go take your high ground. Yeah, this fight is going to happen. They're pushing with trans. You're missing a tiny bit of health, but I'm fine with this shift. And you wandered back to this spot, which isn't really cover. It's just not. This isn't really cover either. You might feel like, oh, I've got this, but this isn't really cover unless you can get deeper on it, where basically your mercy is. So you're a good second and a half from cover, and that's why you get caught by this Sigma ult. And then you go for the lamp, and you go for the lamp a little bit early, probably because you sense that, wait, I'm lifted in a vulnerable spot, and I could get shot out of the sky, and you do.
Meteor strike.
Team up for special attack.
That was kind of an intentional shot into
Team up for special.
the Sigma shift there. Okay, now you see the shift is clearly up, and you take another shot there, but then you go for the right click. Fine. Step back here. Literally step back here to give you cover. Now you've taken too much damage. You needed to take this step back here a second ago when you actually had some health to work with. Drop your window as your own personal thing and just go ham.
Let them up.
Okay. Yeah. This... You guys could fight this back.
Honestly, it sounds good.
Good. Fought it back.
Got you good as new.
Please move behind the barrier.
Mm-hmm.
Let me show you how it's done.
I still don't want you doing this. I still want you just chilling back here for a moment. You can from back here, you know, jump if you have to heal your teammates. You could drop if you had to. Like, I don't like how you go here quite so quickly. Because here doesn't really help you. It's going to leave you here. We're not doing anything. Okay. Is there a reason we haven't already transitioned up to here? Where we can right click, left click, right click, left click? Please? Mm-hmm. You're missing health. He's missing health. I hope that got him. The range isn't actually that big. Yeah, that probably didn't actually get either of them. Maybe it got the Ash. Let's see if it got the Ash. Got the Ash, that's good. Yeah, it didn't get the Torb or the, what do you call it? Yeah. And you should be aware of that. People do have a tendency to think that BAP's shift is a bit bigger than it is range-wise.
Get in here.
Good. Now, I'd have preferred that this lamp had been at your feet because, you know, the reaction speed was good, but I would have preferred the lamp at your feet because I don't want these guys to have the chance to shoot at your lamp. You see your lamp is right in the open here. I'm not too worried if the Doomfist destroys your lamp, so be it, but we would have preferred our lamp to have cover relative to the attacking team here. Yes, it has temporary cover in the form of the barrier, but we don't trust temporary cover. So, good reaction time. Could have had better lamp placement.
Let them up.
Junk time, I don't care. I mean, I don't really care, but you gotta get me better than this. That's your Rissa, you're trying to heal her. That is an enemy Reinhardt and Doomfist that you're healing. That is still an enemy Reinhardt and Doomfist that you're healing. Yeah. Okay. So we'll start back on Anna. This is mostly just going to be a repeat because things haven't really changed. With your Anna, again, I want you, if it's the second cooldown unit that you're using and the first one is still pretty far away, I want you to have a higher threshold for using that. As in, I want you to be more convinced that it's going to be a good use of the cooldown. The willy-nilly sleep into the enemy line, the sleep at the faraway target at the enemy, that can be fine when you have both cooldowns. That can be fine when the enemy team doesn't have anything to punish you with, doesn't have a Doomfist, doesn't have the possibility of, you know, their respawn showing up on top of you. That can be fine. When they do have those types of things, you want to make sure that, hey, doesn't mean I'm not willing to use my sleep dart. I still might absolutely use my sleep dart on a hog that's throwing out a hook, or to try to shut down a high noon, attack visor, a diva that's not looking at me, etc. But just the generic, I'm going to throw it at their front line while our front lines are brawling. Not really willing to do that if there's any risk at all on the map to, you know, you as the Anna player. Want to make sure that we're going for something higher, either probability or higher return if we get it. And higher return might be, hey, shutting down that attack visor, even if hitting it might be a bit of a challenge for you, and I expect it would be based on what I'm seeing. We saw some other mechanic stuff with the Anna. I would say the other thing to work on is you do need to work on your ability mechanics. Your sleep dart and your nade aim is not as good as your primary fire aim, and you need to spend some time with those. So do a little bit of work focusing on those, but primarily it would be a better understanding of, hey, be more stingy with using your second ability in the sense that either you expect a better return than you're currently getting when you use it, or you what am I saying? Or it's a relatively easy high value thing to get. So like, hey, this is a nade that is going to hit 3 that my team is going to be able to follow up on. Not just I'm throwing a nade in there that, yeah, my nade got 2 or 3 people, but my team isn't aggressively positioned to get finishes. My team isn't in there brawling, etc. Moving on to your BAP. So we could talk about your lamp placement, but I think really what you need, this is sort of related to lamps, but really what you need is you just need a better understanding of some of your matchups. Like, yes, I would like your lamp placements to be more out here to protect against this window if you're determined to do that. Over here to protect against the potential of spam from here when the Doomfist came in on you. So yeah, we could go with those lamp placements, but what I'd actually talk about is I actually just want you to think more about the specific matchups. Like, I want you to go, I don't need to be charging max boots yet. I need to be taking these shots. I don't need to throw my lamp down here. He's already used the thing that is threatening to me. I can shift to get my mercy pocket, and that's plenty. If the fight's still going on in 2 seconds, I might want a lamp, but I don't want a lamp right now. I want you to think more about the specific threats that someone has left when you're taking your 1v1s, 1v2s, 2v1s with them. I want more thought in the micro. And your best way to do that is probably to spend some time in deathmatch there. Because if you go in as BAP, you'll run into Doomfist, you'll run into Tracers, you'll run into a bunch of heroes, and at least against half the cast or so, you'll get a good feel for when do I actually need these abilities here. Now, you obviously are going to use your lamp more often in that game mode than you would in this game mode because you have to use it to win duels, and you're not actually looking to do that as much in this game mode, so I don't want you to go too hard in that game mode, but I want you to do some just to get your brain thinking a little bit more about how those matchups work so that you're not using early lamps like you were against the Doomfist here, when he doesn't actually have something to threaten you with, when the tools that you have are enough, and again, if he's up in 2 seconds, you'll be interested in lamping. But the other thing I'm going to want you to work on is some of the more traditional BAP stuff, which is you have times, especially over here, where it was just like this is an eternity, like 7 seconds, 8 seconds that you're not weaving during, that you're just right clicking during. That's not okay. And sometimes over here where you're not really using this cover particularly well, and you're just chain healing or chain shooting, and you're really not doing much in the weaving department at all. So we actually do have to weave if we're going to play this hero. Like, we have to. If we just want to heal bot, he's okay at it, I suppose, splash healing, etc. Okay at it, but he's not Anna. He does need to weave offensive shots in more so than Anna does in order to get the right value out of the hero. So really look for those opportunities to get left clicks between right clicks. Don't just go full right click mode once you've got people over, say, 40%, 50% health. Make sure you're going back to, okay, I am weaving in my offensive shots. Even if you're going initially like, hey, not very often, you only get a few because you feel like you're in triage mode a bunch, that's okay. You shouldn't be in triage mode the whole match, though. And you are basically treating it like you were in triage match mode the whole match. And I want you to bring that down. I want you to go, hey, I go right click and then I get a left click or two in there. Right click, then I get a left click or two in there. And let's start with right click, left click, right click, left click, right click, left click. And if people get below 40%, you can double up or triple up on right clicks to get them back up to 40 or 50%, and then go back to your right click, left click wave. That's what I want you to do. But the other thing is, again, we could talk about lamp positioning, but instead it's going to be thinking about the matchup for whether you actually need the lamp or whether your other cooldowns are going to do it. Really think about the one-on-ones. Understand the one-on-ones to inform your lamp usage. Okay. If people have questions, go ahead and throw them in chat now. If you guys are enjoying the content, please do like and subscribe, as that helps me out quite a bit. Or if you are looking to get coaching yourself, you can join my Discord in the description below, see what my rates look like, see what sort of events we have coming up, all that good stuff. Okay. Good answer, Moira. Always heal my enemies. That's a pro level move. Heal them so you can eliminate them again. No, you can't actually heal them unless you like throw an orb at a Genji to let him deflect it or something. Okay. Would that even work? No, that wouldn't even really work. Okay, that's going to do it, and we are heading into another Anubis review, I believe. So I hope to see you guys all in about 5 minutes. Thanks, guys.